all you boos and ghouls out there in YouTube land. This is Jen. And another year, another closing of a year. And as you longtime boos and ghouls know, that what that means, it means that our last two videos of the year...
Hey, I'm back. I'm back with the milk finally. Took forever. Oh, by the way, did you notice that the channel got deleted? I was wondering about that. Huh.
What?
Huh.
Who? What? Ah, what the fuck is happening this year? Oh, my channel.
Yeah.
Drama.
I hate it here now. Anyway.
Oh.
Hi. Been a while, ain't it?
Been much like Stained.
Yeah, no, as we'll go over with these two videos, 2025 kind of sucked massive, humongous,
hairy
girthy donkey balls. And yeah, fucking, I may or may not have had a few mental breakdowns and whatnot, and life kicked me in the ass. But fuck it, it's the end of the year. Let's talk about some bad fucking horror movies, shall we?
I am gonna make it through this year if it kills me.
As we should. And before we go into any further, as is custom every fucking year, even though you don't particularly like it, I have to make this disclaimer. These last two videos of the year are best and worst. We don't mean any hate to any of y'all. If we pick on a movie you absolutely love, no hate. If we praise a movie you think is absolutely dog shit, no hate. I promise we are not looking at you, Jeff, and going, we want to ruin Jeff's day and pick on the movies he really loves. Or you, Susan. We see you, Susan. We see her in the comments. We're not gonna pick on y'all. This is just to let off some steam, and God, did we need to let off some steam this year. So sit back and just take this for a little bit of shits and giggles and fun. We do not claim to be movie gods. We're just two assholes who happen to have a YouTube channel who watch a lot of horror. Not as much as we usually do, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But what the horror we did see, you can take this under advisement. If we mention a movie on this, even if you like it, it's probably not worth seeing. That sounded really asshole-ish.
You have terrible taste if you like anything on here. Also, that may be true for you. I, however, objectively have the most correct taste and opinion in film journalism today. Also, yeah, I'm calling this journalism because fuck you, it's been a hell of a year and I've earned it. But yeah, no, I'm objectively correct. If you disagree with me on absolutely any of these movies, you are wrong, you should feel bad, and fuck you.
That was satire, people. That was satire. So
I am in my revenge era here, people. Let's fucking go.
So please, I'm trying to build up I don't have the numbers we had last year. So before we get into because as longtime viewers know, we always like to do the worst and save the best for last because we want to end the year on positivity. Did you hear that? We want to end the year on positivity.
Oh, I'm positive about myself and how objectively correct I am about everything and how wrong everyone else is. So
we're gonna do before we get into what were some of the baddies of 2025. Let's just talk about 2025 as a year in horror in general.
We'll talk about this more next video, but yeah, this year was very
underwhelming.
Yeah, very underwhelming, very much a letdown. Now, granted, partly we could be saying that due to personal matters, that this was a really, really fucking hard year, pulling off the mask and all that shit. Yeah, no, genuinely, this year really was fucking hard for both of us, for a multitude of reasons.
My channel!
It was hard for everyone, I feel. I don't know anybody who had a particularly good year. How can you with everything going on in personal lives as well as globally? But, yeah, for horror movies this year, it was a lot of mediocrity. Not even bad. Sans like a few on my worst list. I don't really care about a lot of the movies I'm going to talk about today. They aren't haha so funny terrible. They're just kind of, yeah, this wasn't very good, and it just kind of felt like I was wasting my time watching it, and I would advise not watching it for yourself because, again, it feels like an absolute waste of fucking time. Go ahead.
Sorry, to coin a phrase for me, how horror in 2025 felt is, and usually I know a lot of you guys tune in to get, Jen ranty and ravey, and you'll get a little of that with a couple of these movies, but this is a real year to coin a phrase. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. And not even like disappointed, because there's a couple of movies, we're going to have a category that we have never had in this list, where there's just some movies that are kind of just meh. And some of these might really anger, or at least on my list, you guys might be very angry, because some of these are ones that you guys loved in the horror community. These are some really ones. Don't worry, Sinners is not on it, because this one would not be on the channel right now if Sinners was on it. But there are a couple other pretty beloved ones of 2025 on my list that I didn't hate, but I'm not as wowed by them as a lot of you guys are, and I'm not trying to be a contrarian, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but you guys know I just like to be honest, and there's a lot of movies that were kind of, people really seem to love, and I'm happy for y'all, but I honestly thought was kind of mid.
Yeah, no, most overall, like, both in the mainstream, as well as the indie scene, sadly. Again, I don't feel as full-chested in saying it for the indie scene, because normally, for those of you who don't know and aren't familiar, because the record of those videos have been wiped from the internet, sadly, they're there. I usually, most years, went out of my way to watch as much and consume as much of the horror content released in a year to be as thorough as possible. This year, I didn't for a multitude of reasons, mostly just time and fucking burnout.
And work.
And work. But I just didn't have time for that this year, so I wasn't able to go as in-depth into the indie scene as I do most other years. But taking a glance over and going off of other people whose opinions I usually agree with and respect, that saw a lot more stuff this year. Yeah, even the indie scene was really lackluster this year, and it's a damn shame to see it. I hope next year will be better, and we'll see. But yeah, this year just overall was very underwhelming and kind of disappointing. There was some great stuff that we'll talk about next video, but generally the average rating I would give for horror movies this year was like a C+, honestly. Like, it's a very much a mediocre, bland, and forgettable year.
Yeah, but I get really angry when, like, every year you can always find, if you hunt long enough, you can always find some bangers and some out-and-out gems, and there are some bangers this year. There are some really good bangers. And again, like Sparky was saying, another thing, like with me too, I did, because of what happened with the channel, to pull back my mask for a second, I wasn't in a particularly good mental place, and movie watching, it can be an escape, but sometimes if you're doing this, like, kind of for YouTube, then it kind of becomes like, oh my god, what am I doing? And so I didn't watch as much, at least the back half of the year, and so this is going to be a little bit of an anomaly of a list, because we're only going to have 5, because we want to be fair.
Most years we do a top 10. This year, we're just doing a top 5. I could not find enough horror movies that I hated this year. You as well. Or even ones that I just thought were bad. Not even hated, because hate is such a strong word. I only hate one movie on my list, really. But there was really just a lot, again, of mediocrity that wasn't even really worth talking about or interesting to talk about. All the movies, at least on my list, and I assume yours as well, at least have something to say about them.
Yeah.
If we expanded this into a full top 10 list, the entire first half of the list would us both probably just be going, yeah, this was like fine,
aggressively
but
fine.
It wasn't really great either. Kind of a letdown, kind of whatever. And yeah, so why bother? Let's just trim the fat for fucking once. Dear God.
That's a new thing.
That's a new thing. Let's just trim the fat and get right to the point and talk about the really notable releases of the year that we want to talk about for this video.
True, we're not going to do foreplay this year.
That being said, let's start with some honorable mentions, or dishonorable mentions, however you want to look at them.
Yes. Do you want to go first?
Sure, why the hell not? Okay, I'll go with the best out of the bads, and man, this was a pretty good warning sign for how the year was gonna go. Lee Winnell's Wolfman. A movie I respect parts of. I genuinely like parts of. I think the ideas behind some of this movie are really cool. I like the perspective changes we get with it and how the transformation works and all that stuff. That stuff's actually pretty great, honestly. And even some of the explorations of the cycle of abuse and how parental trauma or negligence can affect a person way later in fucking life. That's all really good.
It is, but
this movie, for some reason, also really wanted to be and focus on being a lame family drama with 3 actors that have absolutely no chemistry with each other. I haven't seen this movie since we watched it in theaters in January. I don't remember most of the characters, but I do distinctly remember that the wife and the husband in this film have absolutely no chemistry together, and both of them feel like they're kind of bored with each other every time they're on screen. And not even in a, oh, this relationship is doomed or toxic way. In a, the actors don't know what to do with their characters kind of way. The direction feels off here. It's a shame. I think there's some good ideas in this film, and it's not the only one I would kind of recommend cautiously checking out for yourself, because I could see some people vibing with it more than I do. But for me personally, this was a massive dud.
Yeah, it was a disappointment. We'll talk a little bit more as we get further down in my list. For my first dishonorable mention, I'm gonna liken this movie to Tinkerbell, and I am Peter Pan, and I was fucking clapping. Come on, Tink, you just a little clap harder, you're gonna do it. Only Tinkerbell in this movie was fucking Al Pacino, and no matter how hard I fucking clapped, he wouldn't come back. And Dan Stevens, even my clapping for Dan Stevens, couldn't save the ritual. I was warned, like I came really late to the party with this movie, and I never watch anyone's reviews, but I had people come and tell me, because I'd be like, I really need to check out the ritual, and people were like, no, you don't, Jen. Trust us, you don't. I mean, look, Monty G and a few other people are like, it's a waste of time, don't bother. And I'm like, but it's Al Pacino. It's fucking Al Pacino in a fucking exorcism movie. Surely to God, there's gotta be one moment, just one goddamn moment. That's all I'm asking. For fuck's sake, my channel got hacked this year. Come on, Al, come on.
This one feels a little weird to talk about. I have a weird history with certain iconic internet critics of sorts that had a massive influence on a bunch of people. For some reason, Chris Stuckman is basically the biggest influence on pretty much everyone talking about movies on the internet now.
And to a certain
point, Stuckman's a good dude. I always respected him and could tell, unlike a lot of the people who blatantly copied him over the years, he actually knows a lot about film and how to talk about it in an intelligent and emotional and meaningful way, as opposed to hurdy-dur, action scene, cool, big guy with gun, awesome. Yeah, shame that somebody who clearly knows so much and loves so much about film couldn't deliver a remotely original film to save his life. Shelby Oaks was sad. It was so sad watching this film. Again, I've never been like a die-hard fan. He's never been a particularly big influence to me in how I talk about films. But I liked the guy. I respect the guy. I still respect the guy. I have my qualms with him, but I respect him for what he is. This movie's dog shit and feels like the most unoriginal, bland, copy-paste job of a movie I've seen all fucking year. It just feels like he took every horror movie that he really likes and just smushed them all together into one freakish, amorphous blob of a horror movie that doesn't have any identity of its own, because every other aspect in film that it takes influence from is busy screaming in your face to let itself be known. It's a little bit of Lake Mungo. It's a little bit of Prisoners. It's a little bit of The Blair Witch. It's a little bit of The Exorcist. It's a little bit of Insidious. It's a little bit of The Conjuring. It's a little bit of every fucking horror movie you can possibly imagine. And it comes out being lame and dull and uninteresting. It has no teeth to it. It has nothing that makes it stand out besides the man who made it. And it's a damn shame about that. I did not want to come here dogging on the dude who clearly has so much love and respect for film as an art form. For his first directorial debut, but yeah, this movie's dog shit and really fucking lame, and that sucks.
I saw it. I don't think I disliked it to your level, but I gotta be honest, I do believe in being honest with you guys. I didn't love it. I didn't love it. He seems like a hell of a nice guy, and you know what? Sometimes directors can go on and, get better and better with each film.
I'll be curious to see what he does in the future, and hopefully he's able to take the criticism that a lot of people threw at him with this movie, and actually work that and shape it into whatever his next project is, into something really great. I do think the dude has a great movie in him. I hear him talk in interviews about film. I can tell that he has a great movie in him. I just think he drank a little too much of his own Kool-Aid when he was making this movie, honestly, and bought into his own hype that people gave him for years.
Yeah, but you know what? To not, because I don't like shitting on anyone, and he does seem like a nice guy. It is very, very cool that he got to make his dream come true. How many of us get to make a film? So just props for that. Like, props for that. That's pretty cool. Going on from one hot take to another, this is another. Now, this isn't, trust me, we're going to get to a couple really controversial picks in my mad category, and I will acknowledge that this is a movie that seems to be everybody really liked it, including the person sitting next to me really liked it. But I just was super bored, and I just kept thinking, Jesus Christ, we have the Stepford Wives at home. I didn't get what everyone was saying, what everyone was loving about Companion. I was bored, and the characters kind of just, there was good performances, but I didn't particularly like any of our characters, and I get that was part of the thing, but this movie, I was bored, and it got on my fucking nerves, and the reason why it's on my dishonorable, because I think it's just a personal preference, Jen, and so it's not fair to put it on the worst, but it was I remember sitting there and just looking at my watch thinking, is this thing over? I was miserable.
Fair enough. I liked it quite a bit. I might talk about it next video for a minute, but it's a solid enough movie.
Great performances.
Oh yeah. The lead performance is fucking stellar. She totally is going to be a big name to keep your eye on over the next few years. And some of the other supporting cast, I think, also deliver pretty good performances. It's solid. I like it, not to the extent of some people, but I do respect it. But I can see where you're coming from, honestly.
Yeah, it just wasn't for me, and no hate, because like I said, I think I am the only person that doesn't like the Companion in the horror community, but I always like to be honest with you, and it's not a bad movie, it's just, it was really not for Jen.
Yeah, that's fair. Speaking of not for, this might be a little bit of a recency bias, but I don't think so, because I did watch this earlier today, off of your recommendation. You're probably going to regret recommending this to me. But Garden of Eden really didn't work for me. But much like with you and Companion, I can respect it. I can see why a lot of people would like it. This is just the definition of not for me, dog. This is not a movie that worked for me on really any level. I get why you really, really like it. And we'll probably talk about it next video.
Yes.
But for me, this one just felt... I say this a lot with a lot of movies, but it felt like it had some cool ideas that if they were in a 30-minute short film, I would really like it or at least respect it. In a 2-hour-long movie, though, God, it felt so bloated and unnecessary, and like it did not have remotely enough to chew on. It feels very aimless and repetitive for a lot of it. There is some very good effects, some good filmmaking, and brief glimpses to genuine brilliance in this movie, but God, they're so few and far between for me. It just did not work.
To be fair, now I do not agree with you because I really fucking love this movie.
I know.
But I can see where you're coming from. And to be fair, I know a lot of people who felt the exact same way you did. And I said it in my review. This is a movie, you gotta know your movie taste, and this will not be for everyone. But for me, and we'll talk about this more in my best list because it's gonna make it on my best list. But the thing that really worked for me is it's touching upon a subject subject that is fascinating to me. It's about vengeance and about that it's going to you might get the son of a bitch who hurt you, but it's going to wreck you at the process. And is it worth your soul to get the son of a bitch, to get back at the son of a bitch who hurt you? There's a lot of other things that are going on in this movie, but I thought it was brilliant. But you're right, I've heard a lot of people say it did not need to be 2 hours.
It really did not. It really did not. It did not have enough content to warrant that runtime.
It's a one that you either will love it or hate it, but I think for people who didn't jive with it, you're really not going to jive with it.
Yeah, it's very much a love it or hate it kind of movie. I don't even hate it. I respect it, but it is really not a movie for me. I did not particularly enjoy my time with it.
I was a little worried that might be the case.
Yeah.
But for me, I have a few more, but these next movies are, I will acknowledge, these are not bad movies. This is the category where I was talking about that we're just going to get into movies that I just thought were meh, but I heard a lot of praise and a lot of hype and a lot of people saying they're some of their favorites of the 2025. And if they happen to be your favorites, again, no hate, but I gotta be honest. And so I'm gonna start with my biggest disappointment of 2025 because I was stupidly excited for this movie and I knew we weren't gonna go on the Terrifier level, but I was thinking it's gonna be a fun slasher. It's about a clown in a cornfield. It's called Clown in the Cornfield, and I'm like, it was based off a book. The writer actually was very involved with the movie. He seems like a hell of a nice guy, but this movie was just very forgettable and lame, and I heard a lot of people saying this is a great gateway horror, and I had I think that's the thing that bothered me the most with this movie, because I'm like, wait a minute, there's Dark Harvest, there's Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Those are great gateway movies to show to younger kids. This movie kind of sucked. If I was a kid in the 80s, this would be a movie that I'd be like, this fucking sucks.
Fair enough.
It's not bad.
I didn't dislike it to your level. I just thought it was very whelming. I didn't have any expectations going into it, and it pretty much delivered exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was a pretty okay, yet forgettable slasher movie, and that's exactly what I thought it was going to be, but it has its moments. I can see why a lot of people would like it, but it also just didn't work for me. Not enough to make the list proper, but it is one of the more forgettable films of the year, honestly, to me.
It really is, and the fact that you say a forgettable slasher film, you see the problem, guys, right there. That's a cardinal sin. Slashers should be memorable. Slashers should be balls to the walls. Even if you're aiming for a little bit younger audience, you should still have a little bit of a bite and teeth, and this movie didn't have it, even if they were aiming for a younger audience. They should have done something to kind of wow. If you can't go with gore, they should have done something. And I feel really bad because, again, the writer seems like a super nice guy, but that I was really psyched to see Clown in the Cornfield. And again, it's not even a bad movie, just extremely under fucking whelming.
My last dishonorable mention for today is, God, fucking, I know I was making fun of people who were doing this a lot last year, but man, what the fuck happened to Blumhouse this year?
Oh,
Blumhouse did not have a particularly good year going for them.
Did it have a good year last year?
There was a few interesting things that come out. I'm not going to dog on Herdy-Dur, Blumhouse is killing the horror genre, whatever, because whatever. That's overblown and tired. But man, after watching Drop, I can't vehemently argue with anyone who makes that comment, because man, this is the lamest fucking thriller I have seen in a good while. Positives, our lead actress gives a solid enough performance for what it is. She hasn't given a lot to work with. This script is entirely to blame here because it's really fucking lame and does not have enough meat to stand on its own. There's not much going on with it. It is the most by-the-books, bland, unimpressive thriller you could imagine. It screams movie you would have seen on USA at 3 o'clock at night in the 90s, but without the nostalgia or charm of a lot of the movies that fit that description from the actual 90s. But it feels like one of those kind of movies, but if it was made today...
Or more low rent.
No, about that quality. I would not be surprised seeing this movie on like an Up All Night or something very, very late.
Dishonorable. These next two movies, you guys are gonna fucking hate my guts, and I'm never gonna get my numbers back to this channel, but again, this should make you guys believe that I'm being honest. Oh boy, here we go. So my two biggest movies of the year are Bring Her Back.
Okay, yeah, I can see that one. I also low-key thought this movie was aggressively mediocre and bland and felt like the Philippou brothers were just trying to do their version of Hereditary and copying other people's recipes without doing anything original.
This was another movie that I was really looking forward to. I liked now it didn't make my top 10 list of last year or the year that it came out, but Talk to Me made a very high honorable mention on my list. I didn't think I liked it to your level, but I saw the talent, and I still see the talent in this. The one thing I will say about Bring Her Back is that one fucking scene makes you go, God damn! I will give it that. But I didn't see what everyone was losing their minds over, and I saw a lot of comparisons to Pet Sematary, and it just wasn't to the... Now, and longtime viewers know that is a movie I hold in such high regard, and this just felt like such a weak and watered down kind of, copy and paste of what Pet Sematary is. And you're right, there is some Hereditary.
There's so much Hereditary in this movie. It feels like they are desperately trying to ape that style and that kind of movie. Whereas Talk to Me felt so fresh and unique, and that they were really planting their flag and creating their own type of film. This really does just feel like they're copying Hereditary and a lot of other of those horror movies about grief subgenre that we've had so much of. It feels like they're just doing another one of those, and it blends in so fucking mad.
And I'm not even mad about the whole grief. If it's done well, I'm okay with it. It wasn't done badly.
It feels unoriginal.
This is a movie that I didn't think was bad, but it's a movie. What was so telling to me is when people would be talking about Bring Her Back, I always, for a good few seconds, I would have to go through the catalog in my little pea brain and go, what the hell was that one again? And then I'd be like, oh yeah, that cool scene. And that's about the only thing that stuck with me is the scene with the knife going through it. That is the only thing about that movie that really resonated or stuck with me. And again, I'm not saying this is a bad movie. It's not the worst of the movie. It's perfectly, aggressively fine. Aggressively fine. Kind of like my other mention in the meh category that, oh god. If Bring Her Back didn't make you guys get out your pitchforks and torches, well, my next one sure as fucking will. You might be inheriting the channel from me because I might be dead to this community. Weapons. It's aggressively fine, guys, and I said in the review that it's not a bad movie, and I stand by that. I enjoy some of its humor. Some of the shots were very iconic, but it just, especially considering who directed it, I loved Barbarian, and Weapons just seems like kind of a regression in the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's fair. I also wasn't the hottest on this movie. Honestly, the way when you and me talked about it after I saw it kind of seemed like you liked it more than even I did. I think the movie's aggressively fine, but also incredibly forgettable. I don't think there's really any standout moments or scenes or characters in this movie. Our antagonist is fun. We're doing a Giallo send-up. I appreciate that. I get what Zach Krager was doing with it. I don't know if it fully works for it, and this movie's biggest problem is I don't give a fuck about this movie's cast. Whereas with Barbarian, its characters was its strongest point. From our lead to
Bill Skarsgård's
off-putting charm, to Justin Long being fucking the most Justin Long who's ever been. And oh hey, Richard Brake. Neat. This movie I don't give a fuck about any of these characters. I don't care about them. The only one I had that are remotely memorable is our antagonist, and that partially is just due to her outlandish appearance. I like our ending actually quite a bit. I will give it that. I really like where this movie closes off. It's not what I was expecting.
We're getting a sequel.
That's disappointing and confusing, and it kind of ruins it for me a little bit, but I kind of liked how nihilistic this movie ends off, all things considered. Yeah, it's fine. It's aggressively fine, but I totally am with you on this one, that it is a big step down from Barbarian and just does not feel like a movie that really would stand out most years if it wasn't for the fact that this year's second half was incredibly dry for really standout exceptional horror. This movie totally would have blended in the background and forgotten if it had come out a different year.
But what the hell do we know? There's a lot of people people who I know it's going to be on y'all's best list, and that's
Fair
totally
enough,
fine.
fair enough. I can sort of see it, but it just feels wildly unremarkable. As someone who saw it literally months after all of the hype had died down for it, I just didn't get it. It just wasn't a movie that was really for me and just didn't work for me, honestly.
I get you. Well, going from lackluster to yikes!
Oh hey, it's Richard Brake again.
Oh, no.
Neat. My number 5 is actually, wildly in my opinion, an improvement over its prior entry. But I can't lie and say this movie isn't objectively worse and kinda dog shit at the same time. Strangers Chapter 2. I want to state, all of those people that you heard when this movie was coming out saying, it's just a 90-minute chase scene. They are entirely incorrect about that with this movie. It's a 75-minute extended chase scene with about 15 minutes of the most failing, middling attempt at character development and character building I've seen in a horror movie in a while. This movie, it doesn't know what the fuck it wants to be, much like with the first one, weirdly. Whereas the first one's biggest sin was its comparison and constant homage to the original Strangers. This one has a whole list of problems completely unique to itself. It just doesn't know what the fuck it wants to be to me. It feels like it wants to try to be like Halloween 2 and like the Wrong Turn, whatever the last one was that was sort of a soft reboot.
Just Wrong Turn?
Was it just Wrong Turn? Okay, yeah, it feels like that. It feels like it wants to be so many things, but it doesn't know really how to be any of these things. There's no stakes. We still don't know really anything or care about our main character that this entire trilogy is built around. Our lore that we're setting up is very predictable and obvious where we're ultimately going with it, but also incredibly lame and boring and like the most obvious thing you can fucking imagine, unless that third movie goes into the complete wildest fucking direction imaginable. And these last two have been a complete and utter fake out. But based off what this movie set up, it's very obvious what we're doing and how we're going. But damn, this movie just does not know what it wants to be. And yeah, the fact that it has no real story, it's just main girl gets chased by the Strangers for fucking 75 minutes. There's something to the idea of movie that is just extended chase sequence. Movies like Duel or even The Hitcher are basically that, and they made it work fantastically. That idea is not inherently bad.
No.
But it's the execution of this movie that really doesn't work. It's lackluster. You don't care. The difference between this and Duel and Hitcher and even something like, say, the second Wolf Creek movie is you had an investment in those movies' characters. This one, I don't give a shit about this fucking girl. All we fucking know about her is she really liked her shithead dumbass boyfriend. That is the only development she has gotten for 2 movies, and it sucks. I don't care about her. I don't care about anything going on. The only bit of enjoyment I get out of this is just going, oh hey, right, Richard Brake is in these movies for some fucking reason.
Oh,
and
you know the reason.
And is most likely going to end up being the baghead stranger. Oops, is that a spoiler? No, it's really not, because it's the most obvious fucking thing imaginable. But yeah, no, this movie's lame as balls. But also, again, I do genuinely think it is better than the first film. But I also think it's exponentially worse than the first film. Funny how that works out.
I think that's what they call a paradox.
Yeah, this movie really is a paradox.
Okay, well, put a pin on all that because we'll be talking about that movie later. But
Fair
before
enough.
we get to that, I'm going to talk about the least egregious worst film of the year. Because this movie, which I won't be saying for any others on this list, at least had some ideas that I was like, that's a pretty fucking cool idea. We're doing something a little fresh. And I'm a big wolf girl. So, like, of course, I'm going to be a little softer on the Wolfman. Now, is it a particularly good movie? It has
Not
some
really.
interesting ideas. It does, but it's not very well executed. And the wife and husband, I didn't have as many problems with them as you did. Where my biggest problem is our daughter. Now, the actress, it's not her fault. I think the director must have told her to play it like she was fucking 4, but she's not fucking 4.
It's like 14.
And that really got on my fucking nerves. I don't know why. I guess if you wanted to have a younger actress, then get a younger actress so it would have been believable. But this just didn't work, and she got on my god. I was actually rooting in the scene where she's climbing up on the greenhouse and she falls. I was rooting for the goddamn wolf, and I like kids, but I was rooting for the wolf. And also our ending, I mean, before we were even 5 minutes in, we knew where this story was going. But to be fair, it did have some kind of good ideas. I really liked how painful they made the transformation look. It's nothing new under the sun, but they did it really cool, and I liked how all of the senses were so sharpened. There was some things about it. This would be one that maybe somebody else could take a crack out of it, take the good bones out of this, and you could have something if you added a better story and maybe a little bit better characters. It's the best of the worst, guys. It's my best of the worst. There's
Fair
at
enough.
least, it has potential.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. Speaking of potential that gets completely squandered, this is probably my biggest hot take of the year. Every year has at least one of these movies that most people seem to really like, or at least genuinely have a pretty positive opinion on. And then there's Velvet, my sweet, sweet ass, sitting here going, I think this movie sucks fucking ass and y'all are wrong about it. And for some reason, I can't even fully articulate to you as to why. This year, the movie that was catching my strays is Together. I love body horror movies. I love body horror. Surprise, surprise, the trans woman loves body horror. I know, I'm so original. But, yeah, I love body horror. I think we've had some exceptional body horror as of recent, from Cronenberg's recent later period stuff to Cronenberg's kids' recent stuff to stuff like The Substance or Titane. Great, great body horror has been coming out as of recent. And then there's Together, a movie that feels so safe and feels like baby's first body horror movie. It doesn't have any teeth to it, in my opinion. Like, yeah, sure, the effects work at points are kind of cool. When you have them literally fucking merging and the body horror happens for brief moments, it's cool effects work. I commend it. I like that stuff. But that's like maybe 2% of this movie. Most of this movie is a really lame fucking relationship drama with two assholes that I don't give a shit about. And yes, I get the point of this movie is exploring toxic relationships and toxic codependency. I understand what this movie is doing because it's not remotely subtle about it. This movie is story for the sake of metaphor as opposed to metaphor for the sake of story. This movie has no teeth. It panders to the most common denominator so they don't feel lost when everything's going on. It has no subtlety. It has no nuance, which is something body horror has always had and strided in. I do really like some brief moments, particularly our ending. Our ending concept that we introduce, I really like and think is super cool and unique. I wish the movie was more focused on that and exploring that and what all that means and how all that works, as opposed to what we end up getting. It's lame, it's hokey, it feels like it goes back on its entire idea by the end of it. It does have a really good use of the Spice Girls. I can't shit on it for that. Love me, that scene was a great needle drop moment. Entirely fantastic. But yeah, and honestly, again, I get toxic relationship, codependency, they're supposed to kind of not work together. For an actual real life couple, playing a couple in a movie, fuck, these two have no chemistry with one another. Again, I get that might be partly the point, but even toxic relationships have something where you can understand, and from the outside, you can look at it and go, okay, yeah, those two make sense together. This movie doesn't fucking have that. I do not vibe with anything about Together, and it feels like a slap in the face to body horror as a whole. I don't know why this movie particularly yucked my yums this year, but it really did, and the more I sit about it, the more I'm thinking, I shouldn't put this one space higher. But for right now, we'll leave it at number 4, Together.
I liked the penis scene.
That scene sucked.
It was in her vagina.
That scene sucked, honestly. Like, it was okay, but you could have gone so much farther. That's the problem with this movie.
Yeah, I will
agree. Again, it has no teeth. Body horror is supposed to go to these far, crazy, wild directions. This movie doesn't. Body horror is supposed to go into all of these crazy imaginative things. You know, one of the best body horror movies ever made is about people who are sexually turned on by car crashes and get into car crashes and then they start fucking their car crash wounds. That shit's great and unique and interesting. This movie, they're sticky and his dick gets kind of bruised a little bit. Fuck this movie.
Well, for my number 4 movie, this is a movie in probably past years, in fact, I can tell you because this is the sequel, and I should be a lot more angry. God knows I was angry at the first one. I'm not angry at this one because, much like with The Ritual, everybody warned me, don't waste your time, Jen, and I saw the fucking first one, so of course I wasn't going into The Strangers expecting much, and it even gave me less than what I was fucking expecting. It's just a goddamn chase scene, and I guess the morgue thing is kind of cool. Ooga booga.
The morgue scene was lame and felt like the worst sequence in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
It's been done before, and it's been done better, people. But the biggest cardinal sin of The Strangers is the fact that they completely waste an actor like Richard Brake. I'm not even mad that he's gonna be the big, baddie at the end of the third, if we even get a fucking third.
I mean, they filmed it, so we'll see.
But, the Richard Brake, is a phenomenal actor. I love the man, love everything he does. Really cool dude, interesting dude in his personal life. And, he is barely fucking in the goddamn movie. And I just think it's such a waste. And I love horror, and chase scenes are a big part of our horror history, and I get that. But we need something. There was almost nothing, and the thing that makes me angry about it is I remember when this concept was floating around, people were saying, who were involved with the film, were saying, we're going to go in a completely new direction, we're going to learn so much about these characters, we're going to get answers to questions fans have always been wondering about, and fuck me, we got more information in the original movies.
We really did. That really doesn't give you anything. They're obviously setting up certain characters to reveal who the fuck they are as the strangers and stuff, and they flash the weird art housey flashbacks to the fucking presumably the strangers as children meeting each other. It's kinda something at least, but again, you get more with it in the original, and that movie is famous for not telling you shit.
Yeah, that's the thing that when I watched it, and that's the thing, well, of course I watched it, but I watched it very, very recently, and that's the thing that kind of hit me. I'm like, Jesus Christ, the original gave us way more than this does, and that was the whole premise, is we were going to go into the unknown and finally know some things, and it, like I said, partially is I'm just fucking tired, people. It's been a hell of a year, but honestly, it just isn't worth getting that mad with. But you know what? It isn't worth it. It isn't worth your fucking time.
The boar scene was pretty cool, though. Anyway, now that we've gotten the rage, hardy heart.
Oh, the rage is coming with me.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'm pretty much done. Well, until my number 1. Now we're just gonna get real sad. This is a sad number 3. Hell House Lineage.
I didn't see it.
This was such a shame. I heard bad things about it all year, pretty much. I heard bad things during its festival run. I heard bad things when it got released on Shudder. And I was like, you know what? we'll see. I'll bake my own opinion of it. I'll see first off. Maybe everyone's wrong about it and I'll really vibe with it and like it. Or at least I can appreciate what it's trying to do. We're going into a new direction. We're stripping away the found footage aspect, which was one of the main qualities that made the movies really interesting. But whatever, we're taking that away and we're making it a proper narrative feature presented in a normal Hollywood fashion. And, man, you take away the found footage aspect of these movies, it really shows that they don't really have much going on and much to say, and it really does just feel like it just exists entirely to satiate a sequel, as well as to set up future movies. This movie doesn't really have an ending. It just has a setup for another movie. There's no closure on this film's story. Not even in, like, a Terrifier 3 way of it just cuts to black and says, fuck you. It's just like, oh my god, this big revelation that's very fucking obvious and you don't really care about that completely shapes the entire Hell House horror franchise. Yeah, I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about this movie's cast of characters. I don't give a shit about its scares. I don't give a shit about the lore that it introduces. The fuck is this movie? It's such a shame. Like, I never like was someone who said that the Hell House movies were some of the greatest horror films of the modern day, but they were really solid, fun, found footage movies, particularly the third and fourth film. Those were really fun, engaging found footage movies that I really appreciated what they ultimately did. They had some fun, unique filmmaking going on and some creative ideas. This movie doesn't have any of that. It feels like a fan film, honestly. It feels like a fan film that's created by the same creative team as the other movies. I don't know what the fuck went on with it. It feels like a total misstep and just feels like it's just there to give you little sprinkles of lore for the few people who are really into the lore of the Hell House movies. Not to say that the lore isn't interesting or cool or one of the driving forces of the movies, but you need more than just little hints at lore to make an actual movie. If I want that, I'll just watch a fucking video essay or read an interview. I don't need this movie. It's such a pointless film.
You know what you just described? I had a light bulb moment as you were describing this. I didn't watch it, guys. I didn't have time. I watched The Strangers instead and Shelby Oaks. I didn't get to see this, but when you were describing this, I thought, oh my god, you were describing the Return to Sleepaway Camp is what you're
god, this is the Return to Sleepaway Camp of the Hell House franchise. You're totally right.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. Even to the way of it shamelessly fan services back to the original movie. Yeah. Oh my god, you're fucking right. Oh shit, that's sucks.
Not good either, people.
No, that's not good. That's a shit. And it's a shame because I really liked, I forget what that was, but the previous Hell House movie that had come out like 2 years back, I forget what its subtitle was, but I really actually liked that movie a lot. I thought it was the best of the whole franchise. It made it very high on my honorable mentions list that year. I really liked that movie. And this one just completely falls flat and squanders everything that the previous four films gave it and built to build off of. It just falls completely flat on its face.
I get you.
It's like a sad old man.
At least it doesn't have frogs, right?
Eh?
Or weed?
Eh?
No! Okay, so this is the part, for my number 3, this is the part where Jen has to be really fucking honest, and maybe some of you guys really enjoy. In fact, I know one of the Horror Hangouts crew of Trivs at Trivial Theater said I really enjoyed this one, and I didn't mean to be an asshole. I just blurted out I really didn't, because I didn't, and I know I didn't. It felt like this movie had to be on my list because one tale, and Velvet is very familiar with this tale, when it takes me more than a day to finish a movie.
Yeah, if you break up a movie over multiple sittings, that means you really hate it.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen often, but occasionally there is a movie, and this movie, I shit you not, took me 4 fucking days to finish, and I had to mentally put a gun to my head to finish watching it, and it was in segments, people, and I was really looking forward to it, and to be fair, I was not in a good place because this premiered around Halloween time, and things were not going good in Jen's life at that time, but I still don't think I was just enjoying it. VHS Halloween was a big fucking disappointment.
That's fair.
And it didn't make it any easier year because a couple people in the horror community goes, "Oh, Jen, you're gonna fucking love this one segment." And no, a chocolate dick did not make the movie any better. And I love penises and I love chocolate, but no, I just thought that one was very campy and not in a good way. Not the good kind of camp, just the kind of lame camp. And then other people in the community said, "Oh, well, Jen, you probably like the darkest episode of the segments, which would be the pedophile episode." And I had gotten really excited when I heard that. Sounds like a weird
I got
thing.
excited for a pedophile segment. Jen's reviews from the great 2025. Way to close out the year there, girl. Good job.
Goodbye, the few remaining subscribers. No, but you got long-time viewers know that I love the dark, gritty, hard-edge stuff. I'm a fucking edgelord. We all know it.
Yeah.
Velvet's been holding her tongue all this time not to tell me, but I love the dark, gritty stuff. And when I heard that, oh, this is the darkest one that VHS has ever done, I was really excited, and I was just like, this isn't that. And I don't want to sound like an edgelord, but I was like, really, guys, this is what y'all think is hard? And I'm like, this is not much of anything. The first segment was fine with the girls in the kind of haunted Halloween house, but I've seen it, done it before, and done
I
it
would
better.
argue the fucking the VHS movie from the previous year did that same concept infinitely better in its first segment, actually.
Yeah, I would too, and the one that everybody liked with the Halloween house and the twist and all that. You liked that.
I actually really like our closing segment. I'll speak. I didn't like this movie that much either. I think most of its segments were just kind of mediocre. Nothing exceptionally great. Nothing exceptionally terrible.
I thought we went
kind
down
of
a little.
Just kind of forgettable. Kind of honestly a step down from the previous year's entry.
Yeah.
I actually really liked a lot of the segments from the previous year's VHS entry. But the saving grace for this movie is our last segment. I do think is pretty fantastic. Actually, I really, really liked our last segment quite a bit. I don't know why. Maybe just a like small, independently run haunted house is a fun setting that I'm always a sucker for whenever we see it in horror because it's such a unique vibe. But yeah, I really liked that about I think the last segment saves this whole movie for me, honestly. Every other segment I think is okay to kind of forgettable, honestly.
I was a little more harsh on it, and like I said, I do factor in. Jen was not having a particularly good time at this time this movie came out, but the fact that's just a big tell with me. When I have to get up and stop a movie and keep coming back and forth, that's always like, oh fuck this. That's a bad sign with Jen.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, number two. This
I have a feeling it's the same one for me.
Oh boy, that's fun. Number two is a movie that I said at the beginning of the year, okay, I'm interested in this, but I don't think it's going to be particularly great. I have very low expectations because it's none of the original creative team. It has nothing really to do with the original three movies. It's completely new and fresh, while still sort of loosely being tied into them. And I was like, okay, I don't think I'm going to really like it nearly as much as the original trilogy, but it might be fun. It might be a good enough time. And then I saw Fear Street Prom Queen, and I was blown away that it somehow didn't even pass my almost on the ground low expectations I had for this movie. This is one of the worst slasher movies to come out in a while. And people who you follow the old videos and know me as a person and my taste in horror knows, I think the slasher genre has kind of sucked balls for the last few years. There's been a few good exceptions, but from stuff like Thanksgiving to other ones, as well as certain creators completely ruining any excitement I could have for their franchise because they're a tone-deaf fucking idiot. Yeah, I really, really, really could have used a fun slasher movie to get me back in the vibe and swing of the subgenre. Fear Street Prom Queen is not that. This movie is such a waste of goddamn time and just feels like it just exists to pump out another Fear Street movie. Which, from what I've heard from the creative team, basically was what happened. Netflix just fast-tracked another Fear Street movie to ape off of the name and success that the original trilogy had. There was really no thought that went into this. They didn't ask the original creative team to do something new and fresh, even though they literally closed off the trilogy by leaving it open enough to where they could have done sequels to those movies, and all of the cast says that they would have been down to come back and reprise their roles. Netflix just said, no, fuck you, we're just gonna shit out the most bland, generic fucking slasher movie you could ever imagine. There is nothing about this movie that makes it stand out. Literally, I firmly believe that this is the most unoriginal slasher movie to come out in at least 20 fucking years. There is no reason to watch this movie over any other slasher movie that's come out. Even ones that I think are worse, like fucking Thanksgiving, I still think are more worth your time because at least they tried something. This movie takes no risks. It has no interesting kills, no interesting characters, no interesting story. The way it ties into the previous movies is lazy, lame, and doesn't really make sense with the pre-established lore of the movies. But I could look past that if you actually delivered something fun, and this movie was just fucking miserable. Even sitting there so fucking drunk off my ass, I couldn't crack a goddamn smile or have any enjoyment out of this movie. I was just sad. This movie's sad.
Funnily enough, my number 2 is also Fear Street's Prom Queen, and everything Velvet just said is spot on. But where I have a big problem, see,
You're an old person that grew up with these books.
Yeah, I'm a zennial. I was trying to think of what I'm called because
you're old.
If I was in 1880, I'd be a Gen Xer, but I'm a fucking zennial, and but anyway.
Okay, Grandma.
I grew up with these books, and I had a shit ton more, but I'm collecting them again. And the thing that I had the biggest problem with, well, there's a lot of big problems.
There's a lot of fucking problems with this movie.
One of them is it's paint by numbers and generic as fuck. And like, we did it, and we're just doing it to the basic lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
And like, we've seen this done. Nothing fresh, even the goddamn music. And I'm an 80s baby. I love my 80s
God,
music
yeah,
too.
that's right, the music.
But I mean, they don't go to any, like, I'm not even saying deep dives, but there's a lot of other songs that especially you kids might not have heard.
Like I said in the original video, the way the original trilogy used its music was really thoughtful and interesting.
And worked.
With the first one opening, even something as simple as the first movie opening up with Nirvana's version of Man Who Sold the World to 1978, closing with Man Who Sold the World by Bowie, to really blend those worlds together. A lot of the original trilogy's use of music was so brilliantly executed and didn't just feel like, let's just pull whatever random, now that's what I call 1980s fucking songs we can throw in there to get people turned up in the club. This movie just entirely does that.
Yeah, it panders to its audience, which I fucking hate, and also treats its audience like they're idiots. And what I really hate about it is because, you know what, guys, I've actually read Prom Queen, and I know the other Fear Street movies didn't use these books
They
as
went on
gospel.
their own lore, but they used them as an idea and jumped off them.
They did, and if they obviously, from seeing the movie, they didn't have much of a fucking idea. It would have been and I wasn't the only one. I'm in groups. I'm in Facebook groups about R.L. Stine fangirls, and there was a lot of people who thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if they actually did the actual Prom Queen story? And they do they do a teeny tiny little grain of nods, but the actual story would have been cool and would have been way more entertaining. And this is for a younger audience, but it's still way above what this movie did.
Yeah.
And it's a damn shame. And it's probably, I don't know if we're ever going to get any more Fear Street. And these books, I mean, we could do a lot. The fucking lore of Fear Street is one that I've always fucking loved.
Both the books as well as what that original trilogy set out. I've heard interviews with the writers and creative team behind that trilogy. They have cool ideas that they would love to do for other movies, but for some reason Netflix shot all of them down and just went to the laziest, basic, blandest fucking movie possible, which, surprise, surprise, Netflix fucking doing it lazily for the lowest common denominator. Yeah, I know, I shouldn't be that surprised about it, but the original Fear Street was something truly special, and we're never really going to get anything like that again, and it's a damn fucking shame.
It really is, and it also, I think that this might turn off people who might check out the books, because it could have turned it onto another generation,
Yeah,
and that's kind of cool.
Going into my number one, now it's time to actually get angry. So people who were there in the before times will remember there was a certain movie that we always said was the worst thing we ever saw for the channel and ever reviewed. That being Dashcam.
Fuck that movie.
Fuck Dashcam. That movie is still the worst film we have ever seen for this channel, and one of the worst films I have ever seen. I fucking hate that movie. Fuck that shit. However, this year there was a movie that came pretty close to fucking Dashcam for my most hated movie I've ever seen doing the videos for this fucking channel. That being, and I feel sort of bad about it since this is a lower budgeted indie film.
Yeah.
However, I don't think that's a good enough excuse for the bullshit that this movie fucking pulls, especially when we get to the best list, I will talk about that. There was another very even lower budgeted indie film that delivered everything this movie wanted to be, but in such a meaningful and interesting and fun way. But we'll talk about that on the best list. As for my number one, Everyone is Going to Die.
Hell of a title.
I fucking hate this movie, and I'm not being hyperbolic about that when I say it. I hate this movie, or it's so bad. No, I genuinely hate this movie and everything it stands for. I don't normally do this, and from interviews, I feel very confident about saying this. I hate its creative team. The director and / writer of this film, in every interview I saw, as well as the way he's handled criticisms towards this movie from legit problems that a lot of people had about this fucking movie, he's been a complete and utter dickbag about it. So fuck him. Fuck this movie. This is everything wrong with this This is a perfect example of what not to do when you're doing a rape revenge film. It is so demeaning to the victim. Yeah. It has no interest in the victim. It feels like it has active contentment for the survivor in this movie. It very much just feels like, okay, well, yeah, like, he shouldn't have assaulted her, but have you ever thought about his feelings and how it affects him? Yeah. He has a family. He's a person to fuck off with that. Miyazaki in the 1970s tackled some of these same ideas back with his magnum opus, I Spit on Your Grave. The difference is, Miyazaki introduced these ideas, but went, if you actually think that, you're a fucking scumbag. This dude's horrible and deserves to fucking die just as savagely as anyone else who would do that to a fellow person. Yeah. This movie doesn't fucking do that. This movie just it comes off edgy and tone deaf and fucking congratulating. I hate this fucking movie with all my passion. The only saving grace I have for it is our lead actress does give a very commendable performance. She is giving it her all, but this movie does not deserve that. This movie does not deserve any of the effort that she put into it. The rest of our cast are fine for the most part, if not a little awkward and wooden, but that's to be expected with how small of an indie film this was. But still, fuck this movie and fuck everything that it stands for and represents. Fuck it.
This is not my worst movie of the year, but I will say, and you guys know, I don't ever like to be, a little baby bitch, but I will say, when we watched this movie, it left me in a weird place.
You were fucked up for a couple days after this movie. And
I really don't like to be I'm not an edgelord, but I don't like to be a fucking baby bitch, but this one made me, because for longtime viewers of the channel know, that did happen to me when I was 17. And like this movie did make me feel like, oh, this is your fault. Maybe if you hadn't done this. And it does a thing with the character where she dies and it's like, this is her punishment. And I know we've done this before, but it's just really kind of sick. And like for people who have had to go through this, it's a fucking dangerous idea to put in our heads, because we live with especially those of us who haven't gotten the right kind of help, who've had to use movies as the only way to kind of process shit. Like, it's a dangerous thing, because then you think, well, maybe this movie has a point. I'm not saying it does, but I can see some people who can watch this film and go, oh, well, we've never looked at it from their perspective, and let's have some sympathy. And I think that, and I don't say this lightly, you guys know, I don't ever like to be a baby bitch, but I seriously think it's a very dangerous message and toxic message, especially when they're, like Velvet said, there is another movie that goes the 180 degrees and shows you how to do it the right way, and it was an even lower budget, but they managed to do it the right way. This is a movie that would be dangerous to put into somebody who's ever walked in those shoes, because it can really fuck your head. And I don't have how many times have I ever said it's dangerous, but it's a fucking dangerous message, and it's kind of disgusting. And again, just thinking about it, it just makes me feel really, really weird. I do acknowledge the performance in it is good, but yeah, this movie is just icky. That sounds like a really pussy kind of word, but it's just ick. It's just ugh, and I wouldn't recommend it, especially if you've been in this situation. Stay away from it like poison.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So, but guys, I can't this year. I just can't. So
it's not that year. Like, sure, you acknowledge it's dog shit, but like, it's not worth it anymore. Let's have a little bit of levity and fun instead.
Yeah. My number one is a very basic bitch and thing, but I will say I was so fucking miserable with this movie because I begged you.
No, I ditched you so fucking hardcore on this movie.
I begged you to please come with me and see it. I begged, and then I was like, please just watch it with me. And I went by myself to the fucking theater, and I didn't have much high hopes. The only thing I can say about I Know What You Did Last Summer is I was never the biggest fan of the original, even being a 90s kid. I never hated it, but it was never a particularly beloved one for me, and not a beloved classic. But after watching this piece of shit, I have a whole new fucking appreciation for I Know What You Did Last Summer.
That bad, huh?
Oh my fucking god. And it's just fucked. And there's not any cool kills. And then we have a stupid, and I don't like that word, but it's the only word I can use, a stupid ending. Again, back to the goddamn town.
Fucking really?
Well, yeah, like he's
fucking
like,
actually though?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I tried to tell you. You should
oh my
watch
god,
this.
that's
No, you
stupid.
shouldn't.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, because his legacy.
Oh hell yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Oh my god, it's so stupid.
Sunrise, sunset, people.
Oh,
it all really is interrelated.
Oh, I love it. That's
yeah,
so stupid.
It's just so bad. I mean, there is objectively worse, and like I said, Everyone Is Going to Die is probably on a morally reprehensible kind of thing is worse. But I mean, this is just dog shit, and it's stupid and pointless, and it's pandering. You guys thought Halloween was pandering to its fans, and I don't even know who the fuck this was supposed to be for, because like the people that grew up, I don't think were waiting, and I don't think you kids were like, oh, Winsy.
Yeah, I Know What You Did Last Summer's never been a particularly like they've tried to revive this franchise twice within the last 5 years now, and both have failed horribly. I don't think people are as invested in bringing this franchise back as the studios seem to think we are.
No, and they're married and then they're divorced, and we're never really sure why. They were married and now they're divorced, and we don't really get why. And there's one cameo and you're like, how the fuck, you're dead? How do you make a cameo? Dream sequence, the laziest St. Elsewhere piece of shit you'd ever see. Fucking dream sequence.
Nice.
It's fuck. Some people thought it was cute. I thought it was fucking bullshit. Kinda like this year, and people who hack people's channels who hasn't done a shit thing to them, and they put up fucking car videos. I mean, I've heard, hypothetically.
Yeah, that's
hypothetically.
fair.
No, this has been a shit year.
Yeah, it's been a really shit fucking year, so fair enough.
Yeah, but that, guys, was the ones of we've seen, but I don't like to leave it on just ugly. Even this year, I don't want to leave it on ugly. I'm trying to go in. I would love to just fast forward these last couple of weeks and just get into the new fucking year. But before we do, we want to talk about positivity, because there was some. As I say, you can always find some good in every year, including its movies.
As dog shit of a year this was, there were a couple of the greatest horror films of the modern era that came out during it, so yeah, we gotta talk about those and leave the year off in some sense of positivity.
So tune in next time, because I think we've got, well, I haven't got all the hatred or vitriol out of my system, but for comic relief, we'll say that I purged all my things, and we're happy. Namaste. But we're gonna be coming back and doing our best of the best, and we actually will have a full 10, and there are some movies. Before I get back to you, I've got to do some movie watching. There's a few things I want to tick off my list, but even before that, we have some pretty good ones already.
Yeah, there's some really great stuff that we'll talk about next video, but that brings an end to this chapter
and this
of the year. Yeah, let us know in the comments and whatnot about what you thought the worst horror films were of this year. Let me know how much of a excellent big brain genius, objectively always correct person that I am, and how much I totally am great, and how I made you realize that your tastes are subjectively worse, and yeah, you now need to be trying to strive to be as awesome and as good as I am, but you never will achieve it.
Thank you for
I'm just in my heel era. I'm just living up in my fucking heel era. Fuck it. This year sucked. I'm hot. Let's fucking go, baby.
You know, with all satire, people. Satire.
No, I'm just gonna become a full-on heel from now on. Fuck this shit.
Please,
I'm gonna go punt a baby.
Is that like a wrestling thing or something?
Oh, you got it. Yeah, it is actually. Yeah.
All right, very cool.
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, guys, let's just leave all the negativity bullshit out, because God knows this year has been enough of one. And thank you to all of the people that stuck around or just discovered us. Thank you so much for sticking around and hitting that subscriber button. It really means a lot to me, because it really did. Like, I was almost at 2,000, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot in YouTube, and it isn't, but it was a lot to me. It was, in my sad little pathetic life, it was something I was very proud of, and it hit me pretty hard. So yeah. I thank you guys, and it was really lovely having you back.
It's good to be back. Don't expect this to be a regular thing, because my life is a constant cesspool of chaos and work and fucking constantly being busy. But you know, I'll stop around again from time to time, and I'll definitely be back around next time to talk about the excellent horror films that came out this year. As few as there might be, but there's enough to go over. Let's spread some love.
Let's spread some love. So leave some comments, and remember, this was just for fun, blowing off steam. If we picked on a movie that you love, no hate to you guys. Again, this is just blowing off steam. We love you guys. We thank you for sticking with us. We'll be back one more time to give you guys our best of the year. You heard our worst, and now let's hang on to your dicks, because we've got some things that are gonna dazzle you just like a penis. Love you guys.
Gotta bring it back. Always gotta bring it back to cock. It's a circle of cock.
And there might be a couple of movies that are so good that are qualified as Irish penises, because that is objectively the best penises in the world are Irish penises. Don't ask, but trust me, I know on that one. I'm a lucky woman.
I'm a lesbian, so I'm a terrible person to ask about this. Anyway, laters.
Horror and cocks. Love ya. See you in the next one. Bye.
Later, you jabroni.